There you go.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Okay, looks like I'm just reading the chat as well. Kara said, I came with pen and paper. 100% will take away something noteworthy today. Thanks, Ali. You're welcome. Hi, Kara. How's it going in Alabama? Awesome. I'll start in about a couple minutes. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to share my screen real quick. Basically, Tom asked me if I could share some resources that I've used in our business. Not necessarily, things that are going to be like knock it out of the park, wow, but they've definitely helped me in terms of reaching out to our database, whether it's content, a couple of tech tools to help us as well when it comes to just making our job more efficient and easier. And then because you guys are on a call with me, I always have to bring the wow. I am going to share a bonus tech tool with everyone that I've shared with a couple of them in the past, but I'm not sure how many of them actually used it. We use it on our team to make sure that we spent our time more efficiently, as well as avoiding one of the tasks that I absolutely hate because I'm not good at it. It's one of my weaknesses and I don't have the personality to do it. So hi, Tina. There she is. Yeah, Tina, awesome. I'm glad she was at the event. I think Donna's on there. Hi, Donna. She was on our event yesterday here too. It was investing for real estate agents. Got into a really good conversation and topic about that as well. And I hope some of you that were here yesterday got a lot out of that. So, okay, I will get started now. I'm going to share my screen. Basically, what I'm going to do is share some of the resources, and then I'll show kind of a little demo of each one. And then I will also have 7 ways to get listings that are not traditional, from open house, expired, for sale by, or database. These are kind of a little bit of alternatives, especially as the market starts to, I wouldn't say shift, but starts to slow down a little bit, which is great because right now we're traveling at 115 miles an hour. It's slowing down to 85, which means it's still faster than what we were used to in the past. So that'll help you do more prospecting, as well as allow you to really take advantage of your listings to market them to get more listings or attract more other buyers. I'm going to share my screen, and then if you guys could really quickly tell me if you could see that in 1 second. Let me go ahead and get this started. All right, can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect, thank you. All right, let's go here. All right, so the first resources I want to actually share with you guys, I'm going to go through them one by one, and then I'll kind of do a quick demo of them so you guys could see, and I'll keep the call a little bit shorter so we can open it up to some Q&A, and then I can also help you guys to find out about 7 of the alternative ways to get listings. So the first one that I like to share with you guys is called List Reports. I've shared this in the past, but List Reports is a great tool for people to use to create automatic marketing material. Basically, it ties in with your MLS. For agents, for real estate agents, it's free to use. And what it allows you to do is it allows you to create marketing material automatically, so you don't have to spend time, or in my opinion, waste time trying to put together an open house flyer or trying to put together like a social media post for that listing. It's also an amazing tool to take that to your listing appointments and make it part of your listing presentation. So I'm going to show you real quick what it looks like right over here. So if you take a look, listreports.com, I've already logged into my account because I didn't want to spend time doing that, but here's a property that I have. So it creates the marketing material automatically for you because it's linked to your MLS. I want to show you what it actually created automatically for me. So here is a open house flyer that it created. It's going to take basically the description that you have from the MLS, take some of the photos. It's going to put down here your information. If you have your lender paired up with them, you can do that. What I really like is it also gives you a second page. It's going to give you information about the area where that listing is located. So it's going to give you the school information. It's going to give you some information about golf courses, parks, maybe even dog parks near the area. It's going to give you a quick overview of restaurants as well. This is important because it's a great conversation piece if you're doing an open house or if you're door knocking, because a lot of the people that may show up to your open house, they may not know the area because they're from out of the area. And this is a great way to show yourself and also differentiate yourself as basically the knowledgeable person around the area. And a lot of times people will ask me about schools, like what school is it assigned to? I'm not sure, but this tool allows you to do that because it'll tell you exactly what the elementary school is, middle school and high school, and it tells you the distances they are from the property. So this one is the open house flyer that it has there. I'm going to go back real quick here. This promotional flyer is pretty much the same thing, but it doesn't have the actual open house. So this would be perfect for if you're just going to be mailing something, door knock. This is one of the things that I also have a professional print shop print one out on high quality stock glossy paper. And this can be part of your listing presentation as the material that you actually may present for your sellers. And this is also what you should print out and give to your sellers to leave inside the house, pass it out at their work. If they go to a church, they can take it there. They have a post, you can put it up there. If you go to your local Panera Bread, they always have that poster there where you can put businesses there, post that up there. Great for door knocking, as I said again. If you're meeting with vendors, like if you've got a plumber, electrician, painter, hand this out to them. Again, this is a great marketing tool that you can use. The beauty of it is all this stuff is automatically created for you as soon as your listing has the MLS, as long as you've got the account linked up with the MLS. So there's no amount of time for you to actually create something like this. It also creates an open house sign-in sheet for you. So if you want to do an open house sign-in sheet, creates it right there for you with the property. Very professional and good looking there. The other thing that I really like that it does, it also creates a basically a web presence for you. So property site here. So I'm going to click on property site here real quick so you guys could see. This is something that you can actually share on your social media, Facebook page, business Facebook page. And here's the pro tip, give it to your sellers and have them send it to their friends and family and tell them, hey, we're selling our house. Go ahead and share this page on there. It's just really nice. It's got the photo gallery. And the one thing I like about it versus sharing it maybe off your IDX page or the MLS page is because this is more of brand awareness and really satisfying your sellers with the professional marketing that you're going to do, because it's not going to pop up and try to grab the lead or anything like that or restrict them. So it's a great tool to give to them that they would be comfortable putting it on their social media or sending it out to friends and family as well. But more importantly than anything else, if you go ahead and take this with you in a laptop or an iPad and you're at a listing appointment and now you share, this is the kind of materials that I will be creating for you, it sets you apart from most other agents who don't have this kind of material created. So that's list reports. I'm going to go back here real quick and we'll go to our next one. Oh, sorry, let me do that. Flowplan.io. So flowplan.io, some MLSs actually offer this. It allows you to create a floor plan for your listing. And you basically download the app, and you can actually walk the property, take pictures inside of the property and upload it, and it'll actually send you a floor plan of the property. The Daytona Beach and the Space Coast MLS in Central Florida offers this to their agents as part of the plan. And the other thing that I really like about this is that many times, especially if it's a home or an older home or a condo, and the pictures really don't show the layout and the walkthrough of how it is, a floor plan is a great tool to use. And one of the things that you should do as well is, again, when you're going to a listing presentation, you bring this up. This is what we're going to offer for you in your menu of services is we're going to do a floor plan of your property so that buyers have a much better understanding. If you're going to an open house, you can also do that as well. So biggest thing that you should do is if you don't have access to it through your MLS, let your MLS know. You can also get it separately as well. I know that there are other apps in the App Store or the Google Play Store that you can download that will do floor plans as well. I haven't used those and I'm sure they're just as good, but this is a very simple app to use. Again, it allows you to offer more for your sellers, especially when the market's going to become more competitive. And honestly, it should be something that you should provide because buyers would really love to see what the floor plan is and what the layout of it is. Let me go back here now. One of the things that I use a lot is called I Love PDF. I love PDF as a free resource, and that's one of my favorite price points is free. And I love PDF allows you to go ahead and merge PDFs, split PDFs, compress PDFs, change PDFs to a Word document, PDFs to a PowerPoint, and it also lets you go the other way as well. So if you wanted to change a PowerPoint to a PDF or a Word document to a PDF, place a watermark on a document, take PDFs to JPEG or JPEG to PDF. You can also resize photos. It's a free resource. I use it all the time. It's something that I think you should add to your favorites toolbar in your browser. It's just so easy, especially if, let's say, for example, you get a document that's electronically signed. You need to go ahead and separate the homeowner's disclosure or the seller disclosure from the actual listing agreement or the buyer agreement. You can come to this site. You would click split PDF here and upload the document. It allows you to split it to as many documents as you want, then re-download it, and then you can go ahead and save it. It's a free resource. You don't need to pay for the paid version. I've never really used the functionality of the paid version. But again, one of the resources that I think you can use to make your job more efficient, allowing you to spend more time in building your database, reaching out to your database, as well as doing lead generation and lead follow-up. My next one that I really like is Keeping Current Matters. Keeping Current Matters, if you're not familiar with it, I put a link in the chat box. I'll put it in again. This is actually a terrific source for infographics and shareables that they provide on a daily basis. So I've already logged into the account. Here's an infographic. This is one of the favorite ones that I like to use. In fact, I'm going to start putting this in my for the buyer's consultation. But here you can take a look at the buyer's purchasing power based on the interest rate, and they've updated the interest rates to kind of what the current market rates are now. So at 5% on a $290,000 loan amount, there's your monthly payment, which is your principal and interest. And you can see how that impacts it. This is important for, number one, your buyers, especially in a buyer consultation. And number two, if you're going on a listing presentation, you should have this conversation with the seller to let them know that pricing is going to become even more crucial to get that dialed in correctly, especially if a seller says, well, we're going to try to swing for the fences, and then if we don't get any offers, we'll lower our price. Remember that in this market, with interest rates increasing, and most likely they're going to increase a little bit more, buyers' purchasing power decreases, which means that ultimately it's going to force sellers to have to lower their prices, even if it may not be that much, but it's ultimately going to force sellers to lower their asking prices on there. Great infographics that you can use. The other couple of things that they also included here is they have some social graphics that you can put on social media. One of the things that I really like is their buyer and seller guides that they allow. So every quarter or every season, they have a buyer and seller guide. It's more of a just a general generic piece that they have, but the buyer and seller guides allow you to have just a pre-formatted, professional looking guide that you can send out. I would encourage you to send it out via email to your database of clients, whether they're sellers or buyers. It's just a great piece to have in there, and this provides it for you. I'm going to show you that the two that they offer here. They also have it in Spanish. I know a lot of people in Central Florida have a lot of Spanish speaking clients and people in their database, but this is what the buyer and seller guides look like. So if you're right here, it says things to consider when selling your house, summer of 2022. And in about a month or so, they'll also now release the things to consider when selling your house for fall of 2022. It's more of a general, it's not going to be targeted specifically to your area, but it's a great piece to send out as a pre-listing packet item. You can send it out to for sale by owners when you go meet with them one-on-one. It's just a great professional piece that you can use. So now I'm going to move on to something that I told you guys as a bonus for people that are on this call. The bonus is a site called Copyai. I've shared this with some of the people already on this call previously, but Copyai is my savior in writing listing descriptions. I hated writing listing descriptions because I'm a high D. I basically would put like the minimum amount possible. But what Copyai does, it allows you to go ahead and put in some key terms of the property, and it will write the listing description for you. So it's going to allow you to save time, and it's also going to allow you to get a little bit fancy with it, as I like to call it. So I'm going to actually demonstrate it really quick. They have a paid version. Again, I don't use the paid version. So here we go. I'm going to show you guys. Let's do create new project here. I'm just going to write. All right, I'm not going to put a relevant website. Let's create the project here. I'm going to describe the product. So I'm going to say 4 bedrooms, right? This is typically how I would write my listing description, but I know that doesn't sound flashy or have any fluff in it. 2-car garage, golf course, New Smyrna Beach. Let's say granite countertops. What else can we add in there? Let's say pool, outdoor kitchen, new roof. All right, so I've already got these things you can add. The more you add, the more comprehensive it will give you. So you come down here, you're gonna give it the tone. I like to give it either the luxury or the professional tone. So let's give it the professional tone first. We're gonna click create copy. And now it's gonna go ahead and do its thing. And it's gonna give us several samples. So here's the short and quick one, right? Here's this one where it says, this beautiful home is located on the golf course in a great community. It has 4 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms, a 2-car garage, and tons of upgrades such as granite countertops, stainless steel appliances in the kitchen, and new roof. This home is moving ready and waiting for your family to come. Relax by the pool or go out for dinner on the strip. You can go ahead and take this, copy it, and edit it a little bit. Now, I only put in a few things because we don't have a lot of time right now. But if you put in, the more you put in here, the more it's going to go ahead and write this. And I'm always blown away by what it writes. And so the other thing you can also do is you can also use this to write blog articles. You can have it write emails so that, let's say, for example, you want to send an email to your database. Come in here, put the relevant things you want to come across, and allow it to go ahead and write for you. And by far, this is like the most amazing tool that I've used to help us. And I know Nicole, who's on our team, she has used this tool to just come up with brochures, listing descriptions, anything you can think about. So Copy.ai, definitely a great tool to use. I use it to write my listing descriptions. It saves me time, and it saves me the aggravation and headache of trying to be creative where I'm not. So a great tool to use. This was my bonus for you guys on this one. So definitely copy this down and use it. Lastly, before we get into the 7 ways to get listings is showing time. I know many of the MLSs across the country have, give you access to showing time, but one of my biggest frustrations with agents is that when they put a listing into the MLS, they don't set up showing time. Oh, it's not gonna let me log in. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and paste the link in there, but I just wanna talk about showing time really quick. Showing time allows your sellers to be added onto their listing, and it sets the parameters of what the showing instructions are, if there is a gate code that's needed, if there's a combination lockbox, electronic lockbox, how they're going to access the property. And very importantly, it allows your seller and or tenant or resident that is in the property, because a lot of times maybe the property is rented by a tenant and they're the ones who are going to have to schedule the showing or approve the showing. With showing time, you can go ahead and allow the seller or the tenant to decline or approve showings directly. So you're not playing phone tag, you're not playing the middleman. You're just going to go ahead and set it up in there and allow that to be, they can get it via text, and they can go ahead and approve or decline those showings. It's going to make everything a lot more simpler, and it's going to allow agents to just have a much better experience. And this is something that you should talk about when you're on your listing appointment or pre-listing. We utilize showing time, which allows you to be in the driver's seat. You're notified of all showings, and you're the one who's going to approve or decline. That way we won't waste time and potentially not lose out on a potential listing, because I need to try to get a hold of you, but I can't get a hold of you. And by the time you reach back out to me, that buyer has now changed their mind or moved on. So showing time, please, please, please use it if your MLS allows it. You are paying for it usually as part of your MLS package anyway. The link that I will put in the chat here is actually the tutorial page for Showing Time, which they have beautiful and very effective video tutorials that you guys can see to set up your Showing Time. And I think almost every MLS offers it across the country. So right now I'm going to take a quick break, open it up to Q&A or any follow-up questions or clarification you guys want, and then I'll jump into the 7 alternative ways for you guys to get listings. Any questions, comments, feedback?
Ali, one of the other things that that I use is DocuHub, which is simple to the iHeart PDF. DocuHub.
What was that again?
and that's
DocuHub?
DocuHub, and it's actually a Google thing. You can actually alter PDFs. You can, but same thing, anything PDF.
Awesome, awesome. DocuHub.
That's another really good one.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
Ali, on the Keeping Current Matters, is that a paid version?
Yes, Keeping Current Matters is a paid version. There's 3 levels that you can have. I believe it starts at $29. I've had it for so long that I've grandfathered in at their original price, which I think was like 19, but I believe the basic version is $29 per month. But if you use it, especially if you want to post things on social media, if you want to use it to send information out via an email campaign, it's really good because the information comes out daily, and the information is always relative with what's going on right now in the current market. Just great way as more brand awareness. I don't know if you're going to get any kind of like call to action from it. Great way to share information and set yourself apart, especially if you're marketing to buyer leads from an open house, buyer leads that you've purchased online, or buyer leads that you've gotten from your IDX website. Great way to get information to them.
Thank you.
I'm just looking at a couple of things in the chat. Haiti asked, is there a separate app for them? Can you just, Haiti, let me know what you mean by a separate app for them? What, for the Showing Time, I think you're referring to.
Yeah, for Showing Time.
Yes, they actually can download that, but I don't think you need to have them download that, especially on the buyer side. They just get a text message. I like to have it as a text message. Let me go back. I don't like to email the request or have them call, because how many people actually answer their phone, especially if they work during the day and they're not allowed to answer their phone. So a text request comes in to the seller, and the beauty is you can set up as many sellers as possible as you need. So if it's a husband and wife, or let's say it's someone, maybe a parent is actually helping them, so they could actually approve that by just, it says decline, yes, or approve this showing. And then more importantly, if it's a property that's occupied by a tenant, instead of doing all this, phone call and go around everything, have the tenant also be notified. The beauty is you can actually, on a tenant occupied property, you can have the tenant be the decision maker, but the seller receives confirmation of the decision that the tenant made. And so it just makes everything a lot more simple. It allows you to get more showings in, because you don't have to worry about a buyer, becoming disinterested or moving on from the property because it took too long for them to get back.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Sure. And I wish that the MLSs would have like a Showing Time class and make it a requirement for all agents. And please, my pet peeve is if you have showing instructions on Showing Time and you book it and then it says access to the property is call or text the listing agent for the code, go ahead and put the code in there. Saves you a step. All right. So if there are no other questions or clarification, I'm going to jump into the last part, which is 7 ways to get listings. I know right now listings are very important. So these are 7 ways that traditionally traditionally we have like for sale by owner database or referrals from other agents. This is a great way for us to get additional listings. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen real quick so you guys can see this. All right. So the first thing is connect with builders. Some builders, especially national builders, have a policy where they don't allow their builder rep that's in the model homes to give a referral to agents to go ahead and list the property of the buyer for that home. And then that way they can buy with the builder. But one thing you could do is, especially the smaller to mid-sized builders, establish a relationship with them. Number one, you want to know what the inventory is, because that builder is your best friend, since they're providing you for future inventory, right? A home is only sold new once. After that, it's a resale. And that's what our main business is we resell homes. So connect with local builders. One of the strategies that I've used is, when I talk with the rep that's at the open house, I said, out of curiosity, if someone comes in and they have to sell their home so they could buy one of your homes, who's your go-to real estate agent? And they'll tell you. If they don't have one, I'd love to be able to do that. Let's set up a time for us to get together offsite, and I'll show you exactly what we do for our sellers to get their home sold. And more importantly, if you're an EXP agent on this call, you have access to get express offers certified. Guess what? You can use express offers so that when you have a listing appointment that's referred to you by that builder, go in there and say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we can get you an offer in the next 48 hours. Let's go ahead and try that first, because that may be the silver bullet, because they want to sell that house quick, because they're so excited emotionally about getting that brand new home or securing that lot that the builder says, well, we're going to release it, but there's like 3 people on the wait list. So connect with builders. It could be a great potential source of listing leads, especially going forward, as builders are going to start to rely on realtors more and more with the market slowing down. Second, host a buyer seminar or webinar. Majority of buyers need to sell their current house in order to be able to afford to buy their new home, especially if they're a move-up buyer. So make sure that hosting a buyer seminar or webinar. Seminars are great because you can do it in person. It really gets you face-to-face. It's great interaction. What I recommend is find like the local country club, restaurant that has a room or anything like that, church groups. Some of those some HOAs even have like a place that you can use. You can invite neighbors, create a Facebook group and invite them. Doing an online webinar is terrific, especially if you have a database of buyer leads or open house leads that came, and it's a great way to reconnect with them. And the webinar doesn't have to be very long, but it'll talk about, basically you're presenting how you sell homes, how long it'll take to sell a home, basically all the fundamentals that they have. Third, purchase anniversary. When I talk about purchase anniversary is whether or not you sold the home to that person. You can look up on the county website, search their address, and it'll tell you the month and year that they purchased their home. So you may not have sold the home to them, but you know when it was purchased, and you can send a card, you can door knock, you can go ahead and give them a call if they're in your database, and just wish them a happy home anniversary. So that a lot of times opens the conversation to, what are your real estate related plans for the rest of the year? And it could be anywhere from, well, we're thinking about remodeling, we're thinking about adding a pool or maybe an addition or replacing the roof, which at that point you can share your vendor list with them. Or they can be telling about, maybe I do need to probably look for a house because I would like to have a home office. Or the kids are going to be graduating in the next couple of years, so we're probably thinking about maybe downsizing and traveling more. It's a great way to get that conversation started that could potentially lead to a listing appointment. Fourth, one of my favorite ones, home equity report. If not twice a year, I would say at least twice a year, you should be reaching out to your database, past clients, farm area, and giving them a home equity report. It's absolutely crucial right now because real estate has done well for the past couple of years. If you have of a home, your equity position should have increased. And if you're not giving them this information, they're getting it from somewhere else, okay? And I hate to use the Z word, but they're probably getting it from Zillow. And unfortunately, once they get on that platform, Zillow does a great job, like a spider web. It just traps them in. And now they're addicted to looking at homes online and getting their value. But one of the resources that we have is we offer this to all of our GPS partners, which is to be able to get a home equity value. So right now, I'm just going to type in real quick here of an address. This is a tool that we use as on the lender side to be able to get a very quick home value estimate, and it's fairly accurate. It's a beautiful 10-page report. And this allows for us to be able to do a home equity report to your database. If you're going on a listing, or if you're farming an area, if you've got a buyer who's looking to buy, And here's what the report looks like. The best use of this report is to go face to face, drop it off, explain it. The second best use is to email it. But again, if you're going to email this, have a follow-up call or a follow-up share Zoom call to be able to share and walk through them what this means. Because this report by itself is powerful, but it's even more powerful when you can put insight on this. And here we go. Here's what I'm going to, let's say, for example, here's the property that I'm giving a home value equity report to. Well, this home is potentially worth about $426,000 or about $146 a square foot. If they're planning on potentially renting this house out, it's also going to give you an estimate of what it could rent for. It's going to tell you what kind of a market that this property is located, seller's market, which means that there is a shortage of inventory and a surplus of buyers. Going to give you a 3-year projection. So if you look down here, let me go ahead and try to zoom in a little bit here so you guys can see. In the next year, it's forecasted that this property will grow 11.3%, in 2 years, 19%, and in 3 years, about 18.5%. So in 3 years, this property could potentially be worth $504,000. Currently, it's worth $426,000. You're bringing this value to your database, to your sellers, to your past clients. And guess what? When you bring this value to them, it could also be a conversation about, is this possibly a right time to sell, depending on if you guys want to move up, move down. Really also depends on what kind of life events they have happening. The other thing I really like is it's going to give you 10 comparables that it selected to be able to get this range and this value. So if you are going to be doing a CMA or comparative market analysis, it already started with the properties you should start out with and take a look. The rest of the report is going to show the details of what it had on the main summary page. But one last thing I want to show you guys is that right here, this is one of my best graphs that I like to show, especially if you've got a buyer. This basically says, based on that zip code, what the risk is in the next 12 months that this property actually declines in value. And if you take a look here, the risk that this property declines in value in the next 12 months, 1.5%, which means that 98.5% probability that this property will actually increase in value. So it allows you to be the economist of choice for your database, for your farm area. And this report is non-branded. So if you do want to get one of these reports, just shoot us a text with the full address and your email, and we'll send it out with the property. I'm going to go back here real quick so we could see. That was the home equity report. One of my favorite ways to get listings. Buyer match. When you have an open house and you have people who have went ahead and signed in and gave you their information, when you're prospecting with for sale by owners or your database, you can say, I have a list of these buyers that came to my open house this past weekend or this past week, and they didn't buy the house that I was holding open, but they're still looking for a home. And I wanted to find out if you would potentially be a seller. If you're going to a for sale by owner, what are for sale by owners looking for? They're looking for buyers, and you need to bring that list with you because that differentiates you from any other realtor who's trying to get the for sale by owner listing. You go in there and say, I'd like to preview your property because one of these sellers, one of these buyers may be a match for your property. So buyer match. I've seen also other agents who have wrote a letter and mailed it out and says, hey, I've got these 4 buyers. Here's what they're looking for. Do you know of anyone who's they're selling their house? I would be a match for this. Great way to basically sniff out listings in an area. Number 6, target HR in your area. Go to companies, especially like smaller companies that have between 5 or 20 employees or staff. Reach out to them, talk to their HR director, especially as people hire from out of state or out of the area. You want to be their realtor go-to for helping that person buy property in the area as they're bringing more people in, as also most companies transition back to working in the office from working basically remotely at home. And then lastly, we already touched on it, which was express offers. If you are with EXP, you have access to get express offer certified. This is a great tool for you to be able to use to go to a listing presentation and say, we can get you an offer right now in the next 48 hours. Here's what it will entail. If that's an offer that makes numbers sense for you guys, we can go ahead and get this sold. If not, I can go ahead and get it to market and get us a market value offer. And so it's a great tool to have in your back pocket. These 7 ways are a little bit out of the more traditional ways of getting listings, but I think you should definitely add 1 or 2 of these to your arsenal of lead gen to get listings, especially as the market is starting to slow down a little bit. It'll help find 1 or 2 listings that you can add, and it'll help you increase and grow your business. So I'm going to go ahead and with that, open it back up to questions, clarification. And pretty much that's what I had to share for you guys in this quick Friday morning session.
Oh, the UWM, whatever that's called for the evaluation, who should we text for that? That's a great tool. Phenomenal tool. I
Yeah.
love that tool.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and actually put that in the chat here as well.
Yeah, and I added a little bit to the chat as well. I put in my email. I'm going to send out my phone number too. So you can feel free to reach out to me or Ali, and we can send it out to you guys.
Yeah, and our goal is to be able to get that to you same day. If you guys send it to us a little bit later in the session, or have a busy day, we'll try to get it back to you by the next day, but we'll definitely get it to you. The only state we cannot do that is in South Dakota. For some reason, the software does not work that well in the state of South Dakota. Also, I've noticed that lots, if it's a vacant lot, it has a hard time getting an accurate value on there. And also duplex or triplexes that have multiple addresses, it doesn't do a good job on. But condos, single family homes, this is what senior underwriters use to be able to get appraisal waivers, which is one of my favorite things to do when we're lending. So the immediate thing that we do is they run that to see what the value is. It will be a little bit conservative, so I just want to put that out there. So it's a great tool to be able to have that when you're going on a listing appointment, or if you're just providing the information for a home equity report to them.
Hey, Ali, I wanted to mention, I got one of those reports from you guys on one of my listings, and I actually used it as a negotiating tool with some of the buyer's agents that were questioning the, the list price, which is actually very conservative. So it really helped provide the insight of what that home could be worth a year from now, 3 years from now, 7 years from now. And it stopped the questions of giving us a really low offer. So thank you so much for that.
And one of the things that I really like about that report is this is what the lenders use. So this is not something that's available to the public, right? So this is a tool and a resource that we do through our Motto Mortgage to send out, because it allows us to provide our real estate partners with basically, I call it rocket fuel, to really help them with their business. And it's one of the only software tools that gives you a projection of what this property is worth. And that's what a lender needs to know. Is lenders are very conservative, and they're kind of schizophrenic, because they're like, oh my God, if we get this loan, what's the probability that it goes sideways and then we lose money? Well, that's why that 3-year projection's on there, is to say, okay, this property is going to appreciate in value based on all the information we have from that zip code, the trends in that area, and the property itself. And so they feel very comfortable doing the loan, especially when it goes ahead and increases in value. So definitely. Liz, you have your hand raised. Go ahead.
Hey, Ali, good morning. First and foremost, amazing call. Like, thank you so much. This has just been absolutely mind-blowing. My question to you, no, thank you. My question to you is, right now, we as realtors, like, we've seen the market shift and everything like that. I had you conduct one of these reports for one of my listings. And I guess my question is, have you had to go through, because as we're going through and we're reevaluating property, have you seen a difference in those reports, like decreasing as the market has shifted? I'm just curious.
I have not seen the values decrease yet. What I have seen is the average. Let me share my screen real quick so you could see it. I have seen the confidence level in the report go a little bit less, but I think if you take a look at if you take a step back and look at the overall picture, what is happening is, see this average confidence here at the top? This is going to tell you what the software's confidence level is. And the reason why it has this, well, you obviously want to see highest confidence, but when it says average confidence, it's because these 10 comps that it pulled, it says, well, how similar is that to this subject property? And these are very similar, which means they're probably the same square footage, obviously probably close on the same street, or within a quarter or an eighth of a mile. But it also it could be timing wise, like these could be very similar. Like this one's on the same street, but it says that this is a moderate similarity because it could also be that this property was sold like maybe over a year ago. And so it's not going to say that that's very high likely, but we've not seen these values go down. And I think it's because when you look at the projection, they're projecting that this house is going to go up in value. And this right here, this crap, I mean, anytime when this needle is past this yellow mark, the chance of that property declining in value is going to be some kind of like a catastrophic event for the whole entire country for it to do that. So as far as values going down, I have not seen that. Now that could change over the next 90 to 120 days, but we'll be able to see that. This report is about 30 days. It lags about 30 days because it's taking the comps of what's sold in the public record or in the MLS that it has access to and title companies. So if that is recorded, it's usually going to pick it up within the past 30 days as well. Peter, you had your hand up.
Yeah. Hi. Awesome time today, man. This is mind blown. So my question right now is this report right here seemed to be a really good marketing tool. Yeah. So how do I get multiple reports from you guys? You know, maybe I'm trying to farm an area, right? And I'm trying to send it to multiple houses. Let's say 50 houses. How is that possible?
So one thing you could do is if you give us all those addresses on an Excel spreadsheet, we'll give you a time frame. We'll be able to turn that around and be able to send those out to you. It won't be next day, but we'll be able to do that. The one thing I would caution you is when you're sending this out, this is very valuable tool that you have. For example, think of it as when Apple came out with the iPhone, the thing that they had valuable was the magic touch, you know, where you could actually swipe and touch the screen. And they protect that because they know that their competition didn't have that for a while. So right now, if you have this tool, I wouldn't just mass send it out. You need to be able to door knock, get face-to-face with them so that you can give insight on this report, you know, talk about the projection of where it's going, talk about is this information right here, how similar or familiar that is. And then one of the things I like to do is you can take a look and see all the active listings. So for example, if you're going to be going on a seller appointment, these active listings, you can say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, this is your competition because buyers will also be looking at these properties and it puts it out on the map. So you'll see here's the subject property right here. Guess what? We've got 2 active listings essentially in the same street. We've got several that are very similar to that in that area. So this is a tool that you should have, but you shouldn't just send it out and hope that they'll call you. It should be face-to-face, give insight about it. If you're going on a listing appointment, this is definitely something to share. And then also Milton from Orlando called me a couple of days ago and he had a buyer that is under contract for sale by owner. And I believe he said it was like $365 or $375 was the contract price. They were having a couple of issues because the buyer wanted some credits on the inspection report. Well, we said, well, let me go ahead and run and see what the home value is. Well, the home value came back at 410. And I said, you know what the buyer needs to do? They need to zip their mouth and get this transaction closed because they've got roughly $35,000 to $45,000 of equity in this deal. Don't let the seller back out and don't be nagging the seller essentially. And that's where the insight comes in. It gives you the leverage to talk to your buyer and say, look, here's the projected value. Here's what it's worth right now. Let's get this deal closed. Also, I think Christo was telling me that it's a great way for you to present facts to buyer's agents so that they don't come and lowball you or try to beat you down on the price.
Okay, cool. So that means this is going to work a lot better with a potential client, seller clients. Like, you know, when you go into Remine, you can tell who's most likely to sell in the shortest time possible. So getting face-to-face with people like this, with a report like this will help a lot, right?
Yes, absolutely. And here's the other thing I would tell you as well. if you're let's say you're providing this to your past clients or seller leads on a quarterly basis, you can kind of show them the trend of what's happening. And then you become, again, the economist of choice for that person. And they'll still probably check Zillow. They'll probably still check Redfin's value, but you're the only one who's giving them insight and having a conversation about it. I use this report. The analogy I would use is when you go to the doctor, they order blood work. So you go to the lab, you get your blood work, and you get these results back. But I mean, I read those results and I'm not sure what's going on. Like, yeah, it says it's high or low or it's fine. But when you go to the doctor and then they analyze it and give you the insight, they say, okay, your triglycerides are high and here's what we're going to do. But let me take a look at the last time we did your blood work. Where was your triglycerides and what's it trending? So you giving that insight is very important. So use this as kind of like the blood report, or this is where you're going to have your starting foundation, but this is not an end all be all to a good enhanced CMA. It's a great starting point and it's a great tool to leverage to be able to grow your business.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Ali.
Awesome. Just let me take one quick question from the chat and then I'll, I know Chris has got her hand up. Have you compared this to RPR values? Yes, I have compared this to RPR values. RPR tends to have a wider range when it comes to accuracy, but RPR does a good job if there is a recent sold. It doesn't do a good job if they're not recent solds. The other downside about RPR is that it doesn't show you a projection of what this house will be worth in the next 3 years. I've also seen that typically RPR is slightly more aggressive in their values, whereas this is from a company called House Canary. House Canary tends to be a little bit more conservative on their values, and the reason is because their biggest customer to this are lenders, and lenders tend to be more conservative because they want to make sure that the loan they're giving is solid, and so they're going to be a little bit more conservative on that. Krista, you had your hand up. Go ahead.
Hi, Ali again. I was actually going to talk about RPR and Peter's question about mass mailing. You can mass mail the RPR one-page report, especially if there's been a lot of comps in the neighborhoods that you're farming. And then once you get that call, then get that report from you, Ali, and get the appointment and refine the number. So if you want to mass mail something, RPR is what I use to farm.
Awesome. Absolutely. And here's what I would also tell you guys. People don't sell because of the numbers. Because if it was based on the numbers, everybody, including us, should have sold our home in the past couple of years because the values have been at the top. People sell because of life events, job, if they have a job opportunity, or if they have to move for a job, if they have a divorce situation, they're married, they've got kids, they need more space, they're a move-up buyer, they're going to go ahead and relocate because they don't want to be near the beach now. They want to be in the city. They want to be in the suburbs. It's those reasons that people move. This is basically to support once they've made that decision. So when you're actually searching for listings or when you're talking to your database, giving these numbers isn't what's going to make them make the decision. It's really getting to know your database in terms of, Peter, what is your real estate related plans for the summer? What is your real estate related plans for this year? And the house you bought, you've lived in it now for 7 years. Is it still serving you guys the way you had originally meant 7 years ago, or have you guys outgrown it? Those are the conversations you need to have. And that's the emotional side. This is the logic side, so that once they say, yes, we're ready to sell, what can we get for it? Let's sit down and have that conversation right here.
Okay, cool.
Awesome. Rick had his hands up. I think it says REK. So I'm assuming those are.
Ali, it's Robert. It's me.
Oh, there we go. Hey, Robert.
Good morning. Peter, I just want to say this. Mass mailing out any of these is dangerous. If you really want to do that, you better figure out your market area. Go walk that neighborhood, because looking at numbers is a lot different than walking a neighborhood and making notes of every house that's there. There are hints on the houses. It could be closed up. It could be boarded up. There's lots of things that can happen between the time that you're pulling numbers and you're mailing it out. I would just say I'd be cautious with doing that. You need to know your market area because they're going to ask you.
Yeah, I understand that. Mm-hmm.
One of the things you can use this report for is if you're doing open houses or you're reaching out to for sale by owners, you could take this report with you and say, when you onboard as a client with me, these are the tools, and my team will be able to prepare this for your specific property so that we can really have an in-depth conversation about it. And you can use that as kind of a takeaway as well, if that's kind of where the conversation is leading. So again, it's just one tool of many that you can use, but it allows realtors to really do it quickly and efficiently versus trying to spend several hours on the MLS putting this together. And it presented in a really clean format. So it's just really easy to understand and explain when you're sitting face to face or you're having a conversation. Also, if you're doing this via Zoom, just like how I'm doing it, you can do this with your sellers or buyers as well. You just share the report, get on Zoom, share the screen, and go from there.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome.
Any other questions, comments? Peter, you're up in Illinois, correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
correct.
Because I think you sent one for us on, I think it was Morrison, Illinois.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. Yeah, appreciate
No
it.
problem, sure. Awesome. Any other questions or clarification, comments? If not, we can wrap it up and go to the happy hour.
Going once, going twice. Okay, thank you, Ali.
You're welcome, guys.